So listen to me. How can we do this? I forgot that tablet. Okay, how can we do this? Listen, there's a process that we need to follow. If you want to be organized, if you follow this process, you're gonna be okay. Now, if you don't follow the process, you can still make it right. But it's so risky. That's why I always teach you how to do it like in order, like step-by-step process. In that way, I think it's safer. So let's see how it goes. I'm just testing. Okay, it's good. Now take a look. I'm giving you an equation that is already balanced. Remember that for every problem, the first thing you have to do is check that it is balanced, okay? That's the first thing you have to do. If the equation is not balanced, you have to do the balancing process. Now, for the first exercise, I have a question. How many moles of lithium carbonate are produced when 5 moles of carbon dioxide react? So, in the question, I have my given and I have my unknown. You need the two things to work with this kind of problems, okay? So I will highlight the givens in one color and the unknowns in different colors. Okay, so in the first question, it says, how many moles of lithium carbonate are produced? This is the unknown. They're asking me to find the moles of lithium carbonate. Now, how? How can I find it? Well, now they're giving me extra information to do it. How? Well, you're gonna get it when 5 moles of carbon dioxide react. Okay, so from from the question you can get the two data, the two givens. Okay, so in the first step, what you have to do is getting the data. Okay, and I always write the unknown first because it is like implicit in the question. So unknown is I have the moles of lithium carbonate. So my unknown is the number of moles of lithium carbonate. What I do know about the exercise is that. Shayla and Yoleni, your cameras, please. What I need, or what I do know is 5 moles of carbon dioxide. Okay? So that is my unknown, and this is the given. 5 moles of carbon dioxide. Now, from the data, you are able to see the two substances that are related. Okay, you have lithium carbonate, that's one of the substances, and the other substance is CO2. Those are the two substances that are part of the question. Okay, so I will relate them like I'm gonna do right here. Lithium carbonate and CO2. Those are the two substances that are involved in my question. Now, what is my following step? My following step is I will get the mole ratios of what? I need the mole ratios of what? Of the substances that are involved in the question, okay? So I need to relate two substances. What are those two substances? Lithium carbonate, carbon dioxide. How am I going to relate them? By using the mole ratios, okay? So what are the mole ratios that I can write about? I can write that I have 1 mole of CO2, which is this one, okay? And I can write about lithium carbonate that this produces 1 mole of lithium carbonate. That's what I can tell about the two substances. Those are the mole ratios possible between the two of them. So I can write the mole ratio like that, or I can write it like this, the lithium carbonate in the top and the CO2 below. Both are okay. Those are the two possible mole ratios. After you get the mole ratios, that's it, okay? You have your mole ratio A and your mole ratio B. Which one are you going to use in the next step? It depends on what you have. So in the next step, what we do is the conversion process. Now in the conversion process, we always start by the given. What is the given in the problem? Is it the number of moles of lithium carbonate or is it the moles of carbon dioxide? What is the given?
Carbon dioxide.
Carbon dioxide is the given, so I'm going to start by there. So I'm going to write my given, 5 mole of CO2. And I will multiply by a conversion factor. Now, that conversion factor is a mole ratio. That's what I was saying yesterday or the day before yesterday. In stoichiometry, what you're going to do is a process very similar to conversions, okay? But instead of memorizing conversions, you're going to be using mole ratios or molar masses. Okay. Now, from the two mole ratios, which one is the one to use? Remember, I'm telling you that this is like a conversion process. Imagine that you have an invisible one below. So in the top, you have 5 moles of CO2. Okay, in what place do you need to have your CO2 for it to be canceled? Using the mole ratio A or the mole ratio B? Which one are you going to use?
B.
If I want to cancel CO2, I will be using B because here CO2 is in the top and in B CO2 is in the bottom, okay? So I'm going to write that molar ratio as a conversion factor. 1 mole of lithium carbonate in the top and 1 mole CO2 in the bottom. Now that you have it placed as a conversion factor, as a conversion process, you know that you can cancel moles and moles and CO2 with the CO2. Now when you perform all that, you're going to get 5 times 1 divided by 1 is going to give you the same number, 5. But now we're not talking about CO2, we're talking about lithium carbonate. And this is the answer to your question. So the question was, how many moles of lithium carbonate are produced? Well, write it as a sentence. There are produced 5 moles of lithium carbonate. Like that. Simple as that. Now, I'm going to focus on the second question. Always I'm going to work with the same problem. It's only for you to get used to these processes. Okay, just give me a second. I'm gonna get it ready. Okay, so take a look. This is the question number 2. Okay, sorry. So now again, with the same problem, since we are talking about the same reaction, we're gonna have the same equation, okay? In the second question says, how many moles of water are produced when 18 moles of lithium hydroxide react? What is the fraction of the sentence that is telling me about the given? What part of the sentence talks about the given?
Water and 18 moles of lithium hydroxide.
Okay, it says 18 moles of lithium hydroxide. That is the given, okay? That is the given. And about the water, this is going to be my unknown because I want to know how many moles of water are produced, okay? So in the first part, what I'm gonna do is listing the givens, okay? In this given, I always begin with the unknown for the structure that we have in the sentence. But it's okay, you can write the two in the order that you prefer. So in unknown, I want to know the moles of water. And in the given, I have 18 moles of lithium hydroxide. So that is a given. Lithium hydroxide, or just Leo. This is my known. I'm gonna put it in green. Okay. Now, what I do after, I need to relate the substances here. I will relate water and Leo. Okay, water and lithium hydroxide. So water, which is my unknown, it is right there. In Leo is a reactant that is right there. The next step is, now that you know given and unknown, what you have is you need to write the mole ratios. That is the second step, okay? Mole ratios. What is the mole ratio that I can write about for this exercise? Anyone?
1 mole H2O and over 1 mole Leo, or 1 mole Leo over 1 mole H2O.
Okay, take a look here. 1 mole H2O, but here you have 2 as a coefficient, okay? So you have to write,
Lithium hydroxide.
it's going to be 2 moles of lithium hydroxide, because you have to consider the coefficients. So you can write it like this, or you can write it the Leo in the top and the water below. It depends on your question. I always write the two, okay? And then I try to choose wisely. After you have the more ratios, remember that you put the coefficient, okay? 2 to 1. 2 Leos per 1 water. Okay? That's how you read it. After this, what you do is you do the conversion process. You always start the conversion process by what data?
Given.
The given, in this case, the known 18 moles of Leo. So you're going to start with the 18 moles of Leo. And you're going to multiply times our conversion factor. Remember that you have invisible 1 over there. So what conversion factor are you going to use? A or B?
A.
I need to cancel the Leo to get water. So I need to use
B.
B. I mean A, sorry. Leo should be in the bottom, okay? Because what happens if you use B? I'm going to use B just for the example, okay? 2 mole Leo and 1 mole of water. If you do this, you can cancel the moles and moles, yes, but you will have the units that you didn't cancel, that is 18 moles of Leo again, divided by 1 H2O. So it doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense if you do it like that. So remember that you need to keep the Leo in the top, but also in the bottom. So the right way to use it is the other way, the part A, okay? So this is the conversion factor that you should use. 1 mole H2O over 2 moles of Leo. Now, in this case, take a look. You can cancel moles of Leo in both sides. Now it's possible to do the conversion, okay? Now, what is the answer that you get?
9 moles of water.
9 moles H2O. That is the answer to the question, okay? And you can write it as a sentence. How many moles of water are produced? There are produced 9 moles of water. Simple as that. As you can see, it's a very simple process. If you follow it in order, you will be okay. Now you can do this also by just analyzing the question. Okay, for the third question, it says, how many moles of carbon dioxide are needed to produce 15.5 moles of lithium carbonate? Now, what happens with this question? This question has a little different structure, okay? What is the unknown and what is the given here?
The unknown is carbon dioxide and the given is lithium carbonate.
Okay, yes, those are the substances involved, okay? Carbon dioxide and lithium carbonate. So I'm going to relate them here. Carbon dioxide and lithium carbonate. Aquí lo ponía solito. Now it's okay. Lithium carbonate, which is here. Okay, that's what I'm going to relate. Now, I'm asking you to find how many moles of. I'm asking you to find moles. So here, unknown, number of moles of carbon dioxide. What I do know is that they are giving me an amount of 15.5 moles of lithium carbonate. So that is the given, 15.5 moles of lithium carbonate. Lithium carbonate, which is written like this. Okay, now that you have related the two substances, the next step is to write what?
Mole radius.
Molar ratios, okay? Mole ratios. Now, what is the mole ratio between the two substances? What is the mole ratio between the two substances? Remember that you need to write the coefficients, okay? You write the coefficients and you're gonna have a ratio 1 to 1. 1 in the reactant, 1 in the product. That's what it means, okay? So you have 1 mole of CO2 in the reactant that is capable to produce 1 mole of lithium carbonate. Or you can write it in the other way. 1 mole of lithium carbonate can be made by using 1 mole of CO2. That's what it means, okay? After you have the mole ratio, it comes the
Version process.
the conversion process. Yes. Comes the conversion process. We always begin with the given. What is the given in this exercise?
15 mole lithium carbonate.
15.5 moles.
15.5. Be careful on that. When you're doing the process and you put just the 15, it's incorrect. So 15.5 moles of lithium carbonate. And I'm going to multiply. Remember the invisible one? I put it there, but you know that you can skip it. Now, by which mole ratio am I going to use? Am I going to multiply A or B?
A.
A, because LICO is in the bottom, okay? So yes, it's going to be with A, not with B. So I write the mole ratio here. One mole CO2 produces 1 mole LICO. How much is this? Cancel moles of LICO with moles of LICO. You're going to get the exact same number because you're multiplying and dividing by 1. So it's going to give you the same number, which is 15.5. But in this case, moles of CO2. That's my answer. I put it inside a box and I answered the question. The question says, how many moles of carbon dioxide are needed to produce? So I answered the question. There are needed 15.5 moles of CO2. Like that. As you can see, the process is very simple, okay? You are just using mole ratios. Remember that you have to relate the substances provided by the question. So in the question, you're going to have the given and the unknown. Do you have a doubt on this topic?
No.
This one is very easy. I told you yesterday. It's very easy. So in this case, I'm not going to assign you homework for tomorrow. But tomorrow, yes, I'm going to assign you a homework for the 2 days. So you can do different conversion processes. For tomorrow, I'll show you how to make grams to moles and moles to grams, which is basically the same process. And that's it. So I'm gonna leave it here since the class is about to finish and I'm not going to be able to do one more exercise. If there are no doubts, I can end the meeting or you can ask me a question, any other question that you have here or physics. Bueno. Well, guys, goodbye. I'll see you tomorrow. Hey, tomorrow we're gonna do an activity, okay? Tomorrow we can do an activity. So get ready for that.
Bye,
About-
Miss.
Bye, Miss.
Goodbye.
Bye,
It's
Miss.
about everything that we have seen. Okay? Goodbye.
I miss.
Goodbye.